Hey, you know me, it's Lee Fuller, and I'm just saying, first of all, I want to say thank you for all of the really kind words and expressions and statements and notes and emails and inbox messages wishing me a happy birthday. I really appreciate that, and I'm very, very moved by all of it. It means more to me than most of you will ever know, so thank you. Also, I'm working on something new which requires additional facial hair, so I'm feeling really grizzly and looking just really unshaven, and I'll have to be that way for a couple of days for a project that's coming up. Maybe I'll tell you guys about that later. But what I wanted to share with you today, moving into another year of my life, is the importance of not settling and the importance of getting in your own lane. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can today, but here's what I mean by not settling. Some of us are in relationships, some of us are working in places, some of us even have lifestyles that we didn't really want. I know they weren't our first choice. And what I mean by that is some of us have just settled for what was available. Some of us have settled because we stayed in the same neighborhood. Some of us have settled because we've stayed within the same circle of people. Some of us have settled because someone told us if this is what I majored in college, this is what I should be doing for a living. Don't settle. When you go to a grocery store and you're picking fruit or picking vegetables, you typically try to find the best ones for you. You look for the best. There's nothing wrong with doing that in your life. Now, I don't know what the best is for you, but I remember as a teenager going to high school parties, wanting to dance and standing on the walls. Boys would be on one side, the girls would be on the other side, and folks would be waiting to dance. And I remember how intimidating it was to walk across the room and ask someone to dance. And often what I would do is ask someone who I thought might want to dance with me. Now, sometimes I got rejected. But in retrospect, if I had it to do all over again, what I would have done is walked across the room and tried to ask the most interesting and even the prettiest girl in the room to dance. Because if they danced with me, then I picked the one that I really wanted. And if they didn't, and I got rejected, at least it was by the person that I really wanted. And it should be the same way with a job, it should be the same way with a career, it should be the same way with the neighborhood that you live in, the car that you drive, or anything. Don't settle. Now, in terms of getting in your own lane, when I was in college one time, I was coming home from Louisiana to Chicago, about a 900-mile trip. I spent 6 hours driving at 35 miles per hour because it was snowy, it was dark, I was getting nervous, so I decided to get behind an 18-wheeler thinking there would be security driving behind the 18-wheeler. So for 6 hours, 35 miles an hour, snow was blowing. But nature took its course. I had to go to the restroom, so I had to get in another lane to exit. Here's something that happened. I got in the other lane, and as I passed the truck, I discovered that the snow that was blowing off of the truck. So for 6 hours, I was behind someone else following them at their pace instead of my own. I realized then, get in my lane. Then I could do the speed that I want. I could go as fast as I want. And made it home safely with no problem. How many of us are behind someone else's vision? How many of us do this in our businesses, do this in churches, do this in relationships, where it's someone else's pace? I once worked for a music producer, and I was behind his pace, thinking if I work with this person, maybe I'll get ahead. That person has a studio full of music that maybe the world will never hear. So when would they have gotten around to hearing anything I recorded? Never, because I never got that opportunity. Why? Because I was in someone else's lane. As we move forward in everything we do, please don't settle. Get in your own lane. Have a great and wonderful life, and thanks again for sharing with me. That's all I have. So stay hydrated. Don't trip unless you fall forward. You know me.